Welcome to Tech Talks. My name is Danny.
I am Kevin.
So let's talk about internships, internship interviews, right? So Kevin brings in perspective of engineer, software engineer, interview experience in internships, and I'll bring in, I guess, the PM, product manager, project manager, program manager perspective on internship interviews for PM. So yeah, so you go first.
So if you're looking for like a development job for like a software company, the interview process is pretty straightforward. Usually you'll have like the HR interview, which is like 30 minutes to an hour. These are your basic questions to like make sure you're like socially aware. Like what do you like to do for fun? It's like an easy one, and then it'll gradually get into more like
Tell me about yourself.
What's a project you worked on in the past that you're really proud of, and like what did you learn, and then what did you not like about it? Like name a challenge that you had when you were working on a team and how you resolved it. Just like your cultural type questions to make sure you're a culture fit. We call these HR interviews, but it's more to see if like the team can work with you. And then once that's out of the way, you'll have the actual technical interview. These are your like basic write on a whiteboard type questions, where it's like you're given a problem and you have to use data structures and algorithms to solve it. For example, breadth first search of a binary tree, or DFS, or Dijkstra's, or use a stack to keep the min element of a sorted array or something like that. Not a sorted array, I'm just making shit up. Or something about like graph theory, like find the common ancestor of these two nodes in the tree, or create like an autocomplete engine. There's so many of them, and if you want to get practice in like these types of technical questions, really good sources of information and knowledge are any algorithms and data structures courses at Waterloo. Also, there's a book called Cracking the Coding Interview, which I highly recommend if you want to get good at these types of interviews.
Yeah. In a way, like the process, like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. You want to explain how you prep for them?
Yeah. So after I get matched for an interview, I would usually, for like a couple of days before, I would cram Cracking the Coding Interview. I've already done the whole book, but then after that, there's online sources like HackerRank and LeetCode. They have like these little like training module, like the sample questions, and they give you like a little like code editor so you can like write code. And yeah, I try to do as many of those as possible, just to try and like understand the fundamentals, like reinforce them in my mind. And you really have to know like your data structures, like binary trees and stacks and queues and tries and linked lists. Yeah, especially binary trees. Binary trees are like a really popular one. Recursive and iterative, and yeah, just like reviewing those fundamentals. You kind of study for like a test almost, and then during the actual interview, they'll like give you a question. And also like once you've done enough of them, like you start memorizing all of them. Like I remember I did an interview with Yahoo. They asked me 8 questions. I've done them all already.
That's impressive.
So like it's once like you've done enough, you kind of see like the patterns, and like you start memorizing the solutions right away. So after that, it just becomes like regurgitation almost. I know it sounds bad, but like that's the one thing I don't like about software interviews. They're more like about these types of questions than like software design questions, like how to design a system like this, or like how would you do this, etc., etc. Yeah.
Nice. So like for, let's say, PM interviews, internship interviews, so far it's been like, let's say, like 3 phases. I would say 3 phases are the most common. We'll see. That's pretty good though, eh? Like that. break system. Okay, yeah. So so yeah, for like PM interviews, PM internship interviews is usually in 3 phases. First phase is like the regular like recruiter call to make sure like you're self-aware, you're socially aware, and they kind of just funnels the applicants down. So you as a PM, actually, PM interviews are a lot more subjective and a lot more behavioral. I feel like, because you usually in SE interviews you do get behavioral interviews, but they're only going to be a part of your technical interviews, or mainly the behavioral one. Behavioral feedback will come from the recruiter, right? Like if the recruiter likes you. Yeah. So not only do you have to ace the recruiter one, you have to ace the phase 2 and phase 3, which are usually PMs that you might be even working with that are interviewing you. So phase 1 is the recruiter one. Simply when they call you, they ask you about, hey, tell me about yourself. What do you like to do? Why'd you apply? So we kind of have to have answers for that. Usually I like to tell them kind of a story, what motivates me, why I got into that field, a little bit about my career path. And that might actually be your phase 2 and phase 3 interview with your two other PM calls. A lot of it is you have to practice situational forecasting and kind of problem solving. So if someone was to do this, like let's say you had a plan for A, but A couldn't work because of B, then how would you fix B if C thought this? Then it's kind of like, in a way, twisters in a way in your mind, but you have to be able to logically, step by step, tell them how you could approach that. And sometimes that's not the right way, or sometimes you you do it bad or do it wrong. Then I sometimes even throw stuff at you like middle of the talk. Then you as a PM has to solve it. Depending what PM position you're interviewing for, obviously there's like PM teams that you're interviewing for, like for focus on monetization, or there's PM interviews for PM teams very focused on feature development. So, and even for data as well, there's PM product managers on every team, right? So whatever team you're applying for, like, know the problems that they face very well. Usually phase 2 and phase 3 are usually like the levels of it, like the technical aspect of it is usually on par. Some of them are not quite technical. They might want to know what tools you used, how you utilize them, and how effective you are with them, like how good you are. Other than that, it's mainly understanding. They want to understand that you're willing to learn and you're curious, and because usually there's not like a framework or a process that you work with a PM, work with PMs. Usually when you go inside, you understand the process and how things go down, like I guess how to navigate, and then you bring on your expertise to like bring your perspective onto it and kind of pick it up. So that's usually the case. And you go a little faster, I guess, behind me. Why is the guy behind you pushing so far? Sorry. But yeah, so that's a main thing. And just always look at yourself as a PM, like when you're applying for, if PM's around you want to go to, it's like, do I want to work for myself? If you have to be really, in a way, really happy. so the people interviewing you would want you to be around. If you're boring, if you're in a way they don't feel enthusiasm on you, then they're not gonna want to hire someone that they don't want to work under, right? So just keep that in mind. Do you have anything to add for interviews in general, like internship interviews in general?
Well, I do remember like being really nervous on my first few interviews. You have to understand that the interviewers are nervous too. Like, they eat, they shit, they sleep. They're human too, right? Just like you. So they're nervous about how you feel about them too, right? Like they have feelings, they have insecurities. So don't feel like you're the only one under the spotlight. They're under the spotlight they're representing their company, and a lot of the times, if it's two people in the room, there's usually like the head manager, and there's like one of his employees, and the employee will be nervous too because he's conducting himself around his boss too. So don't feel like it's like an interrogation room. It's not. It's like relationship building,
Conversation.
it's conversation, but like more like just getting to know each other kind of thing, right? You don't have to worry about exactly what you say. You can make mistakes, like just laugh it off, just be yourself. Of course, it's really hard to be yourself when you don't know how to like be yourself around like interviewers, but trust me, like after a couple of interviews, you'll start getting into like the rhythm and stuff like that. If you find like you're having like a hard time like opening up to interviewers, just run like a practice interview with like a friend or something, and just get into the groove, warm up a bit right before the interview, or the day before, or the night before, so that you feel like the awkwardness has been like depleted, and you're just like naturally yourself. Takes some time, but everybody gets there in the end.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, and also it's a good mindset to have that, like, usually for internships, in internship interviews, that the bar is not set as high as full times, which is next video that we're going to do is about full-time interviews. Because internships, generally your team expects you to know things, but their main objective is for you to learn. So if their main objective is for you to learn, then they have to sense that you're willing to do that. So during an interview, if they ask you questions that you don't know how to solve, or maybe for a PM, let's say PM interview, they ask you a situational one, and you feel like you answered it not as well. Or even if you answered it well, ask like how you could do better and like what you missed. If they ask you a technical question that you don't know, or like an equation of like you don't know what variables to go for, then ask like, hey, I know I answered this, but what could have I done better? What should I do better? Or like maybe after interview, then when they have any questions, always have questions for the interviewer as well. I think that's pretty key. Like be like, hey, like if you looking at what I'm doing now and talking to me, what do you think I should work on? Like they want to know that you're driven, in a sense that like you are going to land the day you're going to go to the job, and then you're going to get the ball rolling right away. And even if they don't give you something to do, you're going to do it. Like you're going to find things to contribute to a team with. I think that's a number one key. I think that's a really attractive trait on any person.
Yeah, like whenever I did an interview and I didn't get the job, I always asked the employer, the interviewer, what I did wrong, what I could have done better, and a lot of the time, most of the time even, they'll give me like a few things that I can work on, and it's this like feedback, this constructive criticism that helps you get better and better. And I think there are certain values that you always want to display. One is curiosity. Curiosity is a highly favored value in Silicon Valley. Enthusiasm. These are like characteristics. It doesn't matter what you know, what you don't know. If you show like the drive that you can learn, then and a lot of people will invest in you and give you the opportunity to show them what you're made of. And from there, it's just don't screw up.
Yeah, that. Or be okay with it, like, because you will for a few times. Yeah. So other than that, I think we have other videos on internships and how to get them, and for software or PM. So check those out. I'll probably give a link below. Other than that, I think our next thing we're going to shoot is about full-time interviews. So if you are interested, take a look. See ya.